Son, you can't tell another man's dog what to do. This is Pastor Pete with Northwest Church, and this is Things My Father Taught Me. Years ago, my dad said something to me which was, son, you can't tell another man's dog what to do. What does that mean? It means you have to know what authority you have in whatever situation that you're in. You see, it's sometimes easy to think that just because you know the right answer or because you know the right thing what to do, that you have the authority or that you even have the invitation to speak into other people's lives and to tell them what to do. I sometimes can see, I see sometimes people doing this, and I think I've made this mistake myself. I even have a friend online, I see them constantly telling people what they must do with their life, and it always reminds me of my dad saying, I hear this in the back of my head sometimes, my dad going, he's trying to tell another man's dog what to do. You see, another man's dog is trained to that man's voice. He's not trained to your voice. That dog is not trained to listen to your commands. And that's not that I'm trying to say that anyone else is like a dog, but you can see the analogy that he was really trying to work with there. And there is a difference between that you can command the things that you do have control over, that I have control over maybe my dog, I don't have a dog, or maybe I have control over my children. I can command them to do what I expect them to do or what I need them to do. But that needs to be compared to the difference of how do you tell other people to do the right thing? Well, when you're telling other people to do the right thing, you actually need to invite them to do the right thing, not to command them. And there's a difference in the way that you approach that, a difference in your attitude, a difference in your voice, a difference in the way that you're speaking to the other person. And when you're able to invite people to do the right thing, then they may or may not listen to you. There's a difference also between, a friend of mine told me this, the circle of concern that we live in versus the circle of control that we have. And the circle of concern that we have is usually so much bigger than the actual circle of control. Maybe you have been in relationships, maybe you have been in a situation where you've tried to get someone that you maybe love, to get them to do the right thing or to do what you think is the right thing, but you just can't get them to do it. That's because they live in your circle of concern. And sometimes what we have to do is adjust our expectations of what the results or what fruitfulness we can expect to get back from the things that we say. Because you have control over the circle of your control, you have power over the circle of control, but you don't have power over all of the circle that fills up all the things of your concern, all the concern that's in that circle. You know, in fact, in Matthew, I think it's not in Matthew, I'm sorry, I think it's in the book of Acts, chapter 19. There's a story of these guys who decided they wanted to be like Paul. They wanted to see demons being cast out of people and they wanted to see them getting healed. And so they marched into people's lives and they said, in the name of the God that Paul follows, we command you demons to come out of these people. And this demonic power supposedly spoke up and said, Jesus I know, Paul I know, but who are you? And it says that person who was demonized had suddenly attacked those guys and stripped them naked, and those guys were sent off embarrassed. They were completely stark naked. I think that's an amazing story. I think that's an amazing example of the difference between when you're speaking with authority versus when you're speaking with encouragement to help people that maybe you have no authority over. When I was a child, maybe about 8 years old, I was at school and one of my teachers said, tomorrow is Halloween and I expect you all to come dressed as a ghost, a goblin or a ghoul, and everybody will be everyone to join. I want everyone to come and to join in. And I remember putting my hand up and I said, please miss, I can't do that. And she said, Peter, no one will be excluded. You must come dressed as a ghost, a goblin or a ghoul. And I remember saying this very thing to her. And I said, then you'll need to speak to my dad. And I never said it in a rude manner. I never said it with any type of attitude or anything like that. I just knew that my dad wouldn't want me to do that, and I couldn't disobey what he was asking me to do. So I figured, let me shorten the distance between her and my dad. Instead of me trying to be in between, please, miss, will you speak to my dad and tell him that that's what I have to do? The amazing thing is, she just turned around and she walked away. Why did that happen? Because she saw that I was putting myself under the authority of someone else. I wasn't speaking on my own authority. I didn't tell her, miss, you can't tell me what to do. I'm not going to do that. No, you can't do it. I would be trying to speak in my authority, but I had no control over her. She was the teacher. So in order to be able to do the right thing, I had to submit myself to a higher authority. It's important that we understand whose authority we speak in, and we always speak with the grace that Jesus would want us to speak, because you can't tell another man's dog what to do, but you can invite them to come under the authority and the blessing of the one that we know has got control over us, and that is Jesus Christ, our Savior. If this is the first time you've ever watched this video, I want to thank you for being a part of watching it. And I want to encourage you today to think of what it is going to take for you to be able to find out who God is. Maybe you already know. And if you already know who God is through Jesus Christ, then maybe it's good to try and find a much deeper walk with Him. And I'm glad you could join me today. And I want you to be challenged with these thoughts. Would you do me a favor as well? Would you like, would you comment, would you subscribe to this channel too and be a part of this as well? And also maybe you can share it as well. I would love to hear some of your stories too, if you could possibly. Write down some of your stories in the comments. We love you guys.